Welcome to Oracle Application Express, Apex Regions, Reports, Part 2. In Part 1, we took a look at some of the really cool features using interactive reports inside of Apex. Let's go back in and take a look at some of the other features that are available to you with interactive reports. Since I'm logged in as the admin user, which is part of the developer group, I have this menu along the bottom of the screen. I'm going to edit page 6 and take a look at some of the things that go on behind the scenes in my interactive report. So if I double click on List of Movies, I can see some of the information that was populated for me automatically by the wizard. Under Region Definition, I have the title of my region, the SQL statement that's going to drive this report, user interface elements, which we'll discuss in a later lesson, the grid layout for the report, any attributes that I want to assign to the report, any header or footer information, a condition for if the report is displayed or not, a read-only condition, additional security elements, build options for some of my team development features, customization capabilities, and any comments that go along with this particular region. Let's take a quick look at each one of these individually. The region source was generated for us automatically when we ran the wizard. Just like everything else inside of Apex, once we make some decisions inside of the wizards, we can always go back and make changes. So I can change the title, I can change the SQL query that drives this report, I can change the page items to submit if I'm giving the end users the ability to make changes to the data inside this report. The user interface allows us to specify a couple of things about this region on the page. The sequence is just a randomly generated number to show how things are displayed on the page. We only have one region on this page, so it gets a default value of 10. If I were to create another region on the page, it would get a default value of 20. If I wanted to rearrange the way the items are displayed on the page, I can change that second region to give it a sequence number that's lower than this region. If I do that, Oracle Application Express will then reorder the different regions on the page. For the display point, we're going to use the default of the page template body. Later on, when we take a look at user interface elements, you'll see how page templates are a really powerful way to brand your applications and give them a consistent look and feel. We can manually put in header and footer information that goes along with this report. Usually, it's much more efficient to use a template to handle these types of things, but you may have special requirements where you have to put information in the headers and footers of a particular page. A condition determines whether or not the region is displayed at all. We can set up complex conditions inside of our application to say, should this particular report region be displayed in our page or not? Conditions can be based on a lot of different things. And if we pull down the drop-down box, you can see that we have a lot of different condition elements that are available to us. One of the most powerful conditions available to us comes right at the end of the condition types, and that's never and always. This gives us the ability to create pages where we can hide information, especially if they're in development. We can have a region on the page that never gets displayed, but the code is still there. End users will never be able to see it until we actually go in and display this region, but it's a real nice way of being able to prototype your application and hide certain regions on the page while you're still working on them. We also have all of the same conditions available to us in this read-only section. Again, this is very powerful for saying, I want to create these really sophisticated different types of reports, and instead of having to create different reports where some of them are read-only and some of them can be modified by end users, I can create conditions that allow me to check to see who's running the report, under what circumstances are they running the report. Under these circumstances, I want it to be a read-only report, and under other circumstances, I want it to be an editable report. The security for the region allows me to set up different rules so that different sets of users can see this particular region on the page. The configuration allows me to set up different build options. We're going to take a look at some of these when we look at the team development features for Oracle Application Express. Another really powerful feature of Oracle Application Express is the ability to give end users the ability to go in and customize the region for the page. When we look at user interface elements, we're going to come back to this, and see how we can give power users of our applications the ability to customize how the region looks on the page. Comments are exactly that. They don't really affect the report in any way, shape, or form. They're just a way of adding information about the report so that when your application becomes very complex, you can go in and see any information that is pertinent to this particular region. If we scroll back up and then click on the Report Attributes tab, we can now define information about how the actual report is displayed. By default, the heading for each one of the columns is going to be based on the column name that you're retrieving from the database. You can change this very easily. You can also change how the information is displayed on the report. One of the really nice features is the ability to have a hidden column. Why is this important? Well, if you've gone through and generated all of the code that makes up the report, and then decide later on that you want to hide a particular column, you don't have to go through and generate a whole new report from scratch. You can simply hide the column. I can change the pagination type. I can change the position, change how I display null values, the maximum row count, the messages that come back. I can change the images of ascending or descending, or just take the default values that come along with the template. I can change what end users see in the search bar. I could go through and just hide the entire search bar so that they can't make any modifications to the report, but that really defeats the purpose of creating an interactive report. I can hide the search field, the Finder drop-down list, the report selection list. I can give users the ability to select how many rows per page they want to see. I can hide or show the Save Report option. I can also give users the ability to save a public report. A public report is exactly what it sounds like. In the previous lesson, we saw how the user admin and the user Paul can save their own reports and then have those reports only visible to them. If I give end users the ability to save a public report, they can then save the report and every user on the system can see it. We took a look earlier at the download formats that come along with saving a report. I can change the CSV separator, what the columns are enclosed by, give end users the ability to save under different formats. Since I don't have email configured, it probably makes sense for me to deselect that. I can also specify a default file name for how the information is saved when the user selects this information. We're not going to look at link columns right now, but understand that link columns give me the ability to change any of the values inside my report into links that can be used to navigate to other pages inside of my application. And just like before, I have a description field here at the end where I can put in information unique to this particular region. Under saved reports, I can see all of the different saved reports that my end users have created. If they don't want to see their saved reports anymore, this is where I would go in and actually delete that information. So I can select a private report that I created here as the Chris1 report and delete this particular saved report.